Life Audio.
Hey friend, Heather Creekmore here. Glad you're listening to the Compared to Who podcast. Today's going to be the last episode before the Christmas holiday. And where I want to leave you this year, it's not technically the last episode of 2024 because I am going to come back and do one on New Year's Eve. But where I want to leave you this year is really contemplating this reality of why you should be trying to heal or seek healing or seek help for your body image issues. Because here's what I know. I know a lot of you are dabbling in this, right? You're like kind of curious, kind of going to find maybe some tips and tricks. So maybe I don't obsess as much. Maybe I don't worry as much. Maybe I'm a smidge freer around food and body. But the thought of being completely healed, the thought of being completely well, the thought of not worrying about your body scares you silly. Wouldn't that be letting yourself go? Is it even possible to live a life not obsessing over your appearance and food? I mean, what does that look like? That doesn't sound safe, some of you are thinking. So if that's you, today's episode is for you because we're going to talk about this reality of why you might be afraid to jump in with both feet into body image healing, body image freedom. And we're also going to talk about, this is kind of from my experience, as I've been contemplating my body image freedom journey. And as I have kids that are getting ready to graduate from high school, and as I turned 50 this past year, I'm starting to think of all of the things that I wish I could have or maybe would have done if I hadn't spent so much time stressing over my body and my appearance. And so I'm going to share those with you today in hope that it encourages you to seek your own healing, your own body image freedom journey. So that's where we're going. I'm glad you're here for it. Hey, the 40-day journey starts January 7th. You better sign up. We still have spots left, but we do have a maximum number of participants that we can take in January. And January, that one's always full for some reason. Who knows why people think about this stuff in January? I'm joking, of course. But go to improvebodyimage.com and make sure you reserve your seat. You guys, it's only $49 for 6 weeks of what's essentially group coaching. You get access to me, you buy the book, and then you get to ask me, the author of that book, questions about it. You get to connect with other women, hear other women share their stories. It's really an amazing time. So go to improvebodyimage.com and sign up, and we'll see you there. Welcome to Compared to Who, the podcast to help you make peace with your body so you can savor God's rest and feel His love. If you're tired of fighting body image the world's way, Compared to Who is the show for you. You've likely heard lots of talk about loving your body, but my goal is different. Striving to fall in love with stretch marks and cellulite is a little silly to me. Instead, I want to encourage you and remind you with the truth of Scripture that you are seen, you are known, and you are loved no matter what your size or shape. Here, the pressure is off. If you're looking for real talk, biblical encouragement, and regular reminders that God loves you and you're not alone, you've come to the right place. I hope you enjoy today's show, and hey, tell a friend about it. Well, hey there, friend. Here's what I know. I know I have thousands and thousands of women that listen to this podcast, and I only get a few hundred of you to take the plunge into either doing the 40-day journey or coaching every year. And as I was thinking about that and thinking about why some women who desperately need help with their body image or food issues wouldn't engage in coaching or engage in a program like our 40-day journey, because it's super affordable. I mean, it's only $49 for 6 weeks. But I was thinking about why you wouldn't do that. And then I started to remember all of the conversations I've had with coaching clients before they jumped in. And there's normally two things they say. Thing one is they're afraid it won't work, right? And I mean, I totally get that. Like, if you're like me, you've tried 100 different things, food plans, exercise plans. Maybe you bought the things on TV and paid the $19.99 or $19.95 a month, right? You've tried all the things. You've signed up for the plans. You've done the downloads. Like, you've tried and nothing's worked. And so it's totally reasonable to feel a sense of cynicism, maybe skepticism around the fact that anything could work for you. And in that belief system is really like I just said, it's the sentiment that I can see other people finding freedom, but I actually think I'm too broken. I actually think I might be too messed up to ever find freedom. And that's when I hear people say, like, Heather, you don't know, like, what I've thought or what I've done or what I've experienced. And what's always fascinating is when women get into the 40-day journey and they are coming in with that kind of posture, like, you don't know what I've done, what I've thought, what I've experienced. And then they get in the journey and there's some maybe more outgoing women that want to share and they share these things. And then the woman who is afraid to share is like, oh my word, there's other people that have thought that. There's other people that have experienced that. Like, there's other people that have done that. Like, oh, I guess this isn't a unique to me kind of problem. And what I see happening is they start to well up with hope, right? Well, if she's been through all that and if she's found some freedom, then maybe I am not as special or disadvantaged, if you will, as I thought I was. And so that's really fun to see. But the other thing I hear, right, that's one side of the fear that it's just not going to work. The other thing I hear is this fear of, but what if it does work? Like, what does that mean to me? If I stop worrying about my body and my food, aren't I instantly going to gain 100 pounds? And I'm going to stop wearing makeup and I'm going to stop caring how I dress. And I'm just going to stop taking care of my body altogether. And I'm just going to become this, I don't even know what words you would use, this like slovenly, matronly, disheveled, really awful version of myself. And it's so funny, right, friends? Because we are so black and white. I've done other episodes on black and white thinking, and there's a chapter in the 40-day body image workbook on black and white thinking. But that's where we go, right? And like, that's got to be such a trick from the enemy. Because instead of being like, wow, I could be healed from my obsession with my body image and my food issues, and I could find freedom to do other things and to think about other things, and I can maybe feel some joy around these things that I've never felt before. Instead of going to that possibility, we go to the extreme, like, if I find healing, it's all bets are off. I'm going to somehow feel great on the inside, but I am going to look awful on the outside, and I'm not going to be able to leave the house. Oh, friend. Oh, friend. Oh, friend. Can I just say, just straight at you today, you never have to be afraid of the journey that Jesus wants to take you on. And if body image issues have been your story, your hang up, your prison, your bondage, your obsession for a year, years, or decades, can I just invite you to the reality that Jesus doesn't want you to stay there? You know, John 10:10 says that he came, before in the first part of the verse, it talks about how the enemies come to steal, kill, and destroy, right? Which is really what your body image issues have been doing, right? They've been stealing your life and your joy. They've been killing, really, in some cases, the purpose that God has for your life because you've been so self-obsessed, right? And they've been destroying you, maybe mentally, physically. If you have an eating disorder, they take their toll, right? So that's the work of the enemy. But the rest of that verse in John 10:10, go look it up, says, but I have come, and this is Jesus speaking, I have come that you may have life and that you may have it more abundantly. Now, life used in that verse is not the Greek word bios, which means physical life. Think about biology, right? It doesn't mean like you're living and you're breathing. Like Jesus came that you might live and breathe. Yes, but it's more than that. In this verse, the Greek word is zoe, Z-O-E. And the zoe life, the abundant zoe life, as it says at the very end of that verse, is life lived to the full with Jesus. It's a sweet life. It's a life where you can wake up every morning knowing that God made you on purpose for his purpose. You are satisfied in him. You have restored somehow a taste of that intimacy that Adam and Eve had with God in the garden, right? It's not perfect yet. It's not complete yet. It won't be until we get to heaven. But you can have a little bit of a taste of it. And in that, you also have safety and security because of that closeness with God. And so no matter what your circumstances are around you, that Zoe life, it's a sweet life. It's a good life. It's an abundant, overflowing, like delicious life. And yet, my friend, some of us with body image and food issues have led anything but a delicious life, right? We've led a life where we've been afraid of food. Food is going to make us fat. Food is going to kill us, is going to give us a disease, right? And yes, okay, there are some foods that are better for you nutritionally than others, and there's chemicals in our food that's not doing great things for us. All those things are true, yes, but if you're living your life afraid of those things, you're missing out on that Zoe, that super abundant life with Jesus because you're so focused on your body and food. We need to take a quick break now, but right after this, I'm going to talk to you more about how our body images aren't really keeping us as safe as we think they are. And then I'm going to share with you those things I wish I had done instead of worrying about my body. Stay with us. Okay, so if you stop worrying about your body, will you be letting yourself go? Do you have to let your pendulum swing from the top left all the way to the top right? I obsess over my body and watch every single little thing like a hawk. Do I do nothing? I care about nothing. La, la, la. First of all, friend, that's not really realistic, right? And secondly, let me challenge you on something, right? Obsession, I think another synonym for obsession could be worrying, right? And what does scripture say about us and worry? Well, let's look at the book of Matthew. And I'm in Matthew 6, and I'm just going to read to you starting at verse 25. The subhead here, just as a little hint, is do not worry. Therefore, I tell you, do not worry about your life, what you will eat or drink, or about your body, what you will wear. Is not life more than food, and the body more than clothes? Verse 26. Look at the birds of the air. They do not sow or reap or store away in barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not much more valuable than they? Can any one of you, by worrying, add a single hour to your life? Friends, your obsession is likely worry, and scripture has something to say about that. The opposite of worry is not apathy. Just because you stopped worrying doesn't mean you stop caring completely, altogether, whatever. Now, I'll tell you, as you heal, and especially in the arena of food issues, you may find your pendulum swinging to that, right? You may have to kind of go through a, rebellion, if you will, around all your food rules where you're like, I don't have to do that anymore. I used to never eat after 7 and now it's 7:10 and watch out world, I'm going to eat a snack right now. Like you may have a little bit of that attitude as you heal with food, and that's fine. But as we talk about your body and your body image issues, let me say it again. Apathy is not the opposite of worry. And as we work together, if you do the 40-day journey or you decide to pursue coaching, our goal is not to get you to be apathetic. We're not trying to get you to swing from worry to who cares, whatever. I don't care what I look like at all. I don't care about my body at all. Like, that's not the goal. In fact, I Googled, what is the opposite of worry? Because I thought, well, I'm just kind of interested to see what is out there. And Psychology Today actually said the opposite of worry is mindfulness. And I was like, oh, that is spot on. That's beautiful. Because that's even what we talk about as we talk about healing food issues, right? We don't necessarily want you to go from, I eat nothing, I've got all these restrictions, all these rules, to I eat everything and I don't care. No, the goal is mindful eating, where you're listening to your body and you're paying attention to your needs and your emotions and your feelings and all of those things, and you are being mindful, right? And that's our goal really as we work together to help you heal your body image issues, to be mindful. Like one day you might not think about your body at all. And you might be like, it was kind of a good body image day. And then the next day, let's say you're PMSing or just in the decade of perimenopause. And the next day you're like, what do I do with this thing? You're stressed over your body. It's all you can think about. I want you to be mindful in that moment. And that's kind of what we train you and help you learn how to do. I want you to stop and be like, why? Why am I obsessing over my body today? Is it just hormones? It might be. Or is it that there's something else going on in my life that I can't control? And so I want to go back to that pattern that I did probably since I was a child, where I tried to control my body to feel better, to feel like at least I had agency over something, at least I had control over something. And by controlling my body, I'm not really addressing the problem that is the problem in my life where I feel out of control. Instead, I'm just deflecting this to my body image issues. And if you can think through those kind of processes, figure out why? Why do I do this? Why am I feeling like this? That mindfulness, friend, that makes all of the difference. So let's talk about this in relation to money. Right? So some of you are worriers about your money. Like some of you do obsess and worry about money, maybe even to an equal degree that you obsess and worry about your body. And then some of you don't, right? So, pick your adventure here. But if you stopped worrying about your money, would you immediately go broke? Right? No, you wouldn't. And so probably how you would argue back to me is well, no, I wouldn't go broke if I stopped worrying about it, because worrying is kind of an unhealthy obsession where I'm thinking about it too much. But I might go broke if I stopped being conscientious around it. I might go broke if I stopped, tending to it. And it's the same for your body, friend. You are not going to swing to some crazy place that feels really out of control to you because you stop worrying. Worrying is not what God has for you in the Zoe life. So we want to take you not from worry to apathy, but from worry to mindfulness. How can I take care of my body in a way that feels good and that honors God, but that doesn't cause me to obsess and worry over it? How can I take care of my body in a way that works for me and keeps me spiritually healthy and mentally healthy? And then maybe third, also physically healthy. You see, for most of my life, I had those things out of order. I had to be physically healthy first. My body had to look good first. And spiritual stuff came right around that. And mental health stuff, I just never thought about. This is fine. This is normal to obsess over the body. That's not a mental health issue at all. That's what I was convinced of myself. Oh, but friend, it is. And maybe like me, the mental health side of this was safety and security. Somewhere something got broken. My attachment, I don't know, little T traumas, something got broken somewhere. And I really believed that controlling my body, controlling my size, controlling my food, controlling my appearance, and I mean tight control over those things, was keeping me safe and secure. Now, it was never enough, right? Because even though I did all of those behaviors to keep tight control, I never actually felt safe and secure. There was always like one more thing to fix, or 5 more pounds to lose, or 10 more pounds to lose, or, one more procedure to get or consider, or one more thing to buy that's going to help me, do this for life. There was always something else. So I never felt the safety and security that was promised to me by super controlling my body, or hyper controlling my body is probably the better way to say it. And yet the thought of giving that up, that was scary, right? Because to some degree, I actually believed I was able to control what you thought of me by presenting myself a certain way. If I looked a certain way and weighed a certain amount, then I thought I could control your opinion of me. I went through a really hard season about 7 years ago. We had a bunch of stuff happen at our church. I write about it in my book, The Comparison-Free Life. And that really taught me that there is nothing I can do to control someone else's opinion of me, right? Like, you can have whatever opinion of me you want, and there's not a whole lot I can do to change that. And it's the same for you, friend. Like, you can't actually control anyone's opinion of you. And so in that, right, I was trying to control other people's opinions of me because I wanted to be safe from their rejection of me. I thought if I can control your opinion and make sure you always like me and I'm always pleasant and agreeable and pleasing to you, then you will always like me, which, like I said, didn't turn out that way in real life for me. And God had me walk through that so I could feel it and understand it a little bit better. Maybe He's had you walk through that too. But it didn't actually protect me from rejection. And so some of you want to keep your body image issues because you believe they are protecting you from rejection. But friend, they're not. Instead, I think this is a big trap of the enemy too. Instead, they're just keeping you focused on yourself and your body, and they're keeping you from doing great things for the kingdom, even if those great things are just loving God and loving others well. Because that's really the basics of what we're called to. But I know for me, I was so obsessed with thinking about myself and my body that I wasn't loving God and loving others well, right? Like my husband would tell you, I am a much better wife now that I don't obsess over body image issues anymore. Like 100%. And yes, my body has changed. Yes, I don't look the same as I did when I had an eating disorder. And there are days when I lament that, for sure. But I know that the reality is being free, walking in freedom, has made my relationships with my family, with my husband, with my neighbors, with everyone so much freer and so much better and so much more God-honoring. Keeping your body image issues because you believe they're keeping you safe and secure, and they're stopping you from, letting yourself go. Friend, it's just a lie. It's a false narrative to keep you trapped. And I know some of you are just dabbling in it, right? You're listening to the show. Maybe you read one of my books. You're kind of dabbling in your healing because complete healing sounds really scary. And complete healing may mean that you don't spend as much time controlling, and you actually don't even know what you would do if you weren't constantly thinking about or trying to control your body. And friend, I get that. I write about that in the 40-day workbook. So you are not thinking thoughts that I haven't thought in this area. You might also be thinking that to not control would be to be out of control. And there's nothing that sounds more irresponsible and crazy than that. Like, why would you want to be out of control? And again, friend, let me encourage you, that's that black and white thinking. Not over controlling is not the same as being out of control. And I did a podcast episode on that a few years ago. But friend, my question for you is, what's going to be your breaking point? What's going to be the point where you decide that enough is enough? That you're tired. You're tired of every December being conflicted between whether or not you can focus on Christmas or focus on what size you are and what you look like. In fact, I have a study on YouVersion, a short Bible study called The Comparison-Free Christmas, where I dig into that. So I get it if that's your struggle in this December. You can find that on YouVersion. But what's going to be your breaking point? Are you the one that every December 31st, you're writing your New Year's resolutions and every year it kind of looks the same? This is going to be the year. This is going to be the year. Get it together. This is going to be the year that you lose the weight. You get in shape. Like you do it. You do the thing. You do it. This is going to be your year. I mean, friend, I had that year, 15 years in a row. It was going to be the year. And it never worked out to be the year. even if I did manage to meet some health, fitness, physical goals, it never felt like enough because body image issues are never fixed by fixing your body. They just aren't. And some of you walked through that, some of you haven't walked through that yet. But let me just remind you, this is not an outside job, it's an inside job. So as I said in the introduction, I've just been very introspective this year. Turning 50, having a senior, having another senior next year. Oh goodness, I just have been reflecting on my parenting journey, my life journey, and just kind of thinking about, what do I lament? What do I regret? And there's lots of little things. I'm like, oh, I kind of wish that would have been different. I wish I would have handled that different, of course. And I don't think it's helpful to sit in regrets. And I believe that there's grace that covers our parenting mistakes and our just mistakes in general, right? So I'm not too hung up on that. But as I was thinking of this in the context of my body image freedom journey, I was sad because I was thinking about all those years that I spent trying to find the next new plan, the next new diet, the next new foods to eat, the next new recipes to follow, the next new macro amounts or calorie amounts or exercises to fix my body, and how focused I was on that for so many years and how much time and money that wasted. And it is a waste. It was a waste. I don't know that anything good came of that aside from my testimony, aside from my healing journey on the other side. But I was thinking about all those hours that I spent thinking and planning related to my body that I could have spent praying for my kids or praying for my marriage, or even just spending more time, quality time, seeking the hearts of my kids, the heart of my husband. But how much disconnection did I facilitate because I was obsessed with myself and getting my food right? I mean, I didn't eat breakfast with my family on Saturday mornings for decades because I didn't eat what they were having for breakfast. And all of the other little treat opportunities or just fun opportunities that may have had food involved with them that I skipped out on because I was afraid of what the food would do to me or afraid how the food would affect my body. I missed things. And just in my quiet space in my head and in my heart and my mind, I could have been praying for them more. I regret not doing that. I also wonder if I hadn't been so obsessed over my body, how much time I would have been able to give to encouraging or helping others. Maybe I would have noticed others' pain or just even challenges that they were dealing with. But how many times did I not notice that? Because I walked into the room wondering what everyone thought of me instead of walking into the room looking for someone who maybe looked like they were hurting, who looked like they needed a friend, looked like they needed some encouragement. How many opportunities did I miss that I don't even know about or remember because I was just so focused on me and my body? Another thing, this is a little fun fact, it takes 10,000 hours to develop or become a master at a skill, they say. And I was thinking about that 10,000 hours. And I was thinking, I probably have easily spent 10,000 hours stressing about my body, thinking about what I should eat, what I was eating, whether or not that was the right thing to be eating, researching what the latest things to eat are and the latest things to avoid are, all of my diet and food and exercise rules and trends that I've studied for 10,000 hours. And you know what? I didn't get a degree out of that. I didn't get expert status out of that. I mean, I got nothing for it. So it was time wasted, right? What would have happened if I had spent that 10,000 hours writing more books? Right? Or 10,000 hours actually, devoted to becoming a counselor and getting a degree in that and helping people or, whatever it may be. But if there's something in your heart or life where you've just been like, oh, it kind of might be fun to do that. It might be interesting to do that. And you thought, I just don't have time. I wonder how much time you would get back if you stopped stressing about your body. And again, I'm not saying you stop taking care of your body. That's not what I said. Don't hear something I didn't say. But if you stopped obsessing over it and all those little tiny time wasters that go with that, right? Even if it's just scrolling Instagram to look at influencer trends, right? Or watching YouTube videos on like the best workout of whatever this month is, right? Like those are little time wasters that keep you focused on body improvement. And what if you took all of those little minutes, which add up to hours, and put that into achieving something? Becoming an expert at something, writing that book you've wanted to write, taking on a new hobby, right? There's so many different opportunities and options to do with that time we have wasted. Last one here, it kind of connects to the one before, but like I should have spent more time serving. I wish I had spent more time serving. Right. And honestly, there were many years where it was like, I'm really busy with like going to the gym and making sure I'm at the classes at the gym. And, it takes a lot of time to meal plan and do all these other things. Like that's really important to me. That's my top priority. And, I can serve a little bit, but I can't serve a lot. And you know what I've learned in the last, I'm going to say 8 or 9 years that I've been on my body image freedom journey. Every minute I spend serving fills me up. Every minute I spend doing something that God has called me and to some degree, like given me purpose in, like I am filled by that. I am rejuvenated by that. I'm energized by that in a way that meeting my body goals never could rejuvenate or energize me, right? Serving really helps cure our body image issues because we finally feel alive on the inside. Like there's this recognition of, oh, I'm more than a body. Oh, I was given this gift, this talent, this purpose, this personality. Like all of this makes sense. I make sense because in this context of serving God, I feel fully alive because I know I'm using my gifts and I'm doing what He created me to do. And that feels awesome. And there's no comparison to that. There's no goal weight reaching, body fat achieving, size, goal maintaining. Like none of that can hold a candle to what you feel when you are living fully in what God has created you to do and doing it and serving Him. And I wish I had done more of that instead of worrying about my body. And then last little thought here, I was thinking just anecdotally, like, I wonder how much money I've spent on trying to solve my body image issues. And I wouldn't have called it that, right? I would have called it money I've spent on my health or money I've spent on getting thinner or losing the weight or whatever words you want to put to it. But between supplements and exercise equipment and diet plans, diet foods, diet books, diet programs, they're not called diets anymore, healthy living programs, books, all the things, right? The amount of money that I poured into that over the years, I was thinking, I wonder if I poured all of that into an investment account. Like I might be able to afford a beach house. I don't know. At a minimum, a couple really awesome vacations. And yet, what do I have to show for it? I mean, we've got some old exercise equipment in the garage, and I probably have some supplements or some bars that I bought, years ago that are like rotting away in the back of the pantry, but I don't have anything to show for it. It was not a good investment. But friend, let me tell you what a good investment is. A good investment is pursuing your body image freedom journey. Healing is available for you. And it is a journey. That's why we use that word, right? It's not, God is so gracious, right? So if it feels scary, it's not like, oh no, He's going to strip this away from me, like taking away a baby's pacifier and, I'm going to feel naked and afraid. No, it doesn't work that way. It's more like peeling an onion. God gently will kind of take off the top layer. Okay, you see this now. You're okay. Let's take this top layer off. And then there'll be another layer there and eventually be like, okay, let's dig into this a little bit more. We'll take the second layer off. And then there's another layer there. Okay, let's dig in. Like, where did this come from? Why are we stuck here? Why are you still believing that? Why do the neural pathways in your brain always go to that every time this kind of experience happens? And eventually, layer by layer, you will begin to find freedom. And you will start thinking less about yourself and less about your body and more about the good things that God has given you to do and blessed you with in this life. You'll change from an attitude of discontent to an attitude of gratitude. In fact, I say you get just different colored glasses. Like really, I think we wear these body focused, mirror glasses almost. We're almost always looking at ourselves. And you can finally take those off and see the world around you. I don't know if you've ever had the experience of going from not having a prescription to having a prescription. And it's a kind of a crazy experience when you get those prescription lenses for the first time. You're like, whoa, this is what the world looks like. Like I've been looking at the world fuzzy for who knows how long. Wow, this is amazing to see things clearly. Friend, that's what happens. And it's not just around your body. Like you start to see everything more clearly. My clients will tell you that it didn't just change their body image issues when they found body image healing. It changed everything for them. It brought them closer to Jesus, closer to their families, closer to their friends. They started to feel alive. They started to do things they never thought they could do. They started pursuing things they never thought they could pursue because they were finally free and energized to do so. And that's what I want for you too. So friend, your first step, sign up for the 40-day journey. We start January 7th, just about a month from now. So make sure you reserve your space. I'm also doing a webinar on January 2nd. If you want just some tips for 2025, you can join us on that webinar. You can go to my website, improvedbodyimage.com, and sign up for that as well. It's a free webinar. But I hope you'll join us on the 40-day journey. I think this could be the start of your healing, and I want you to know there's nothing to be afraid of. The only thing you should be afraid of is staying stuck in your body image issues and having 2025 end the same way 2024 and probably 2023 and 2022 and 20. Don't let next year end the same way this year's ending. Get some help, find some freedom, and we're here for you for that. Well, thanks for listening. I hope something today has helped you stop comparing and start living. I pray that you have a wonderful Christmas season. And again, go check out our merch store on Etsy. We've got awesome Compared to Who merch that's going to be available for you. And you should be able to get it before the Christmas holiday, depending on when you're listening to this. And we also I've got 4 books out: Aging Gratefully, Comparison Free Life, Compared to Who, and the 40-day Body Image Workbook. And I think those will all encourage you or a friend or a loved one this Christmas season. So thanks for listening this year. And we'll be back with you December 31st. We'll be back with you New Year's Eve to help you as you consider what's ahead in the next year. Thanks again for listening. Bye-bye.